I've given you some practical advice before about how to disengage with the mind, how to disidentify with the mind, how to start observing the mind instead of being identified with the mind, getting entangled in the story and really becoming that story. Use different metaphors and analogies, treating the mind like it's a solicitor that is knocking at your door, trying to sell you something. And just remember that you don't need to buy what the mind is selling. Buy meaning believe. You don't need to believe the story. And guess what? You don't even need to answer the door. When you know that the solicitor keeps knocking on the door, especially at a certain time of day, whether it's late at night before you go to bed, or maybe it's in the morning, or maybe it's when you are alone. You don't need to answer the door. And you simply remain as the silence that you are. Give the mind the silent treatment, so to say. And disengage. You don't need to give the drama attention. So, that is some practical advice or tools for dealing with a mind that wants to draw you into the drama, that wants to sell you something, that wants to engage with you so that you give it energy. And remember, the mind has no power over you. You have to realize that you are that which gives power to the mind. It's like a computer. And you think the computer is so powerful, but you overlook the fact that you are the electricity in which that computer needs in order to operate. Your attention is what gives the mind its power to operate. And like that, the more attention you give to its stories, the more it tells stories. So it's about taking back your power from the mind, disengaging with it, not being fooled. It wants to survive. It's like it feeds off of you because essentially your attention is its food. So when you draw your attention back by allowing your attention to relax and rest in the awareness that you are, you sort of starve the mind. You take away what it wants. It wants attention. The performer on stage needs the attention of the audience to feel seen, to feel heard. To feel important. And when you draw your attention back by relaxing the attention, then the mind often throws a tantrum, just like a 2-year-old that throws a tantrum and you take away its toy. Or you don't give him or her what they want, they throw a tantrum. The mind throws the same tantrum. Tries to do anything to get what it wants, kicking and screaming. And if you're a parent, maybe you've seen this with your children. Perhaps you give in to the tantrum and you see that doesn't actually resolve the issue. It only ingrains the pattern. They learn that by throwing a tantrum, by kicking, by screaming, oh, the louder I yell, the faster I get what I want. The more destructive I am, the faster I can have my way. It becomes a learned pattern. Anyways, this is not just with the mind, because the mind is also projected. So you actually see the same patterns of the mind actually in some of these relationships that you have in your life. And as you start making changes within yourself, you experience the same patterns as people in your life. You set a boundary and they don't like that boundary. They had free access before the boundary, and you set the boundary. Something was denied. They lost access to you. And they don't like that. So now they throw a tantrum. They had a connection and now they want to re-engage without honoring the boundary, without meeting the standards, without aligning to what you are. So the same pattern continues. Just like you saw with your own mind, you're just seeing it outward in your relationships. They try and re-engage with you. They're almost like, I've given the example like this as well, or the analogy, like spam. You get the email every single day, you open it, and it's a distraction. It takes you away from yourself. You get immersed in that spam. You waste your time, your energy. You give it attention. And this continues every single day. And it piles up. Your email becomes junk mail. And instead of opening the email, you can go one step further. Unsubscribe. You can unsubscribe. Remember, it's you that subscribe to whoever's sending you these emails. And that's a lot like these relationships. you can simply unsubscribe from these relationships. You don't need to open their messages every single day. You don't need that connection to re-engage that old pattern. You can close the loop. And to close the loop, you unsubscribe. So it's like that with these relationships. To close the loop of the relationship, just simply unsubscribe. You'll notice that when people don't respect your boundaries and they want to re-engage because they want that attention, it's like the juice, it's like the life, it's like the lifeblood of their drama. You see how these people in your life, the drama queens, or all these different names for them, we won't get into the names, but the people that love the drama, you see how even their efforts to re-engage with you is so dramatic. And they want to re-engage, they want to reconnect. And they try all these different tactics. Just remember, the same principle applies, the same practical advice. You don't need to answer the door. You don't need to open the email, right? You don't need to give them attention. You can just simply ignore them. And when you ignore them, they experience your silence, just like when you ignore the mind. And now you're just simply remaining as the silence that's not bothered by the mind. And it's like, eventually it just gets the message that you're not giving it attention anymore. You don't want to engage in the drama anymore. You've closed that loop. You've completed that cycle. And eventually what you see is it stops happening. They stop contacting you. But hey, hello, hi. But every time you make contact with them, every time you give them a little attention, you continue the pattern. Another time, another loop. What's really needed is to completely disengage with them in your life. And that really happens when you have completed the cycle within yourself. Because when you've completed the cycle within yourself, you'll see that they no longer show up. That energy of the old version of yourself, we can call it, that energy stops appearing in your life. It only appears because you are re-engaging with that energy within yourself. The fact that you continue, the fact that you continue that pattern within yourself, it's the old version within you that is trying to get attention, survive. And when it's complete, it's complete. So hopefully you got some more practical tips, tools, ways to not only disengage with your mind or disidentify with the story, to stop participating in the performance, the drama that needs your attention to go on. But you also see that the same tips, the same tools, the same ways apply for those people in your life that are manifestations of the same drama. It's the same pattern projected outward. And you see that whether it's your own mind or people in your life, these relationships that may represent an old version of yourself, that when you've completed the cycle and you've outgrown that version of yourself, you also outgrow those relationships. You outgrow those people that used to be in your life. And when you've ultimately completed that cycle within yourself, and that cycle, like all cycles, when completed, are marked by silence and stillness, they experience that silence and stillness that you are, and that pattern no longer appears in your life. If you're ready to integrate more of these tips and tools and would like some guidance on how to approach these challenging relationships that you find yourself caught up in, whether they be dramatic, challenging, or toxic, then I invite you to go within yourself, for that's the only way to complete that cycle, to heal those relationships, to overcome their challenges, and to dissolve the distortions. And if you are ready to be guided within yourself, then I invite you to join me on the journey of truth.